March 2019. Kala, Uganda. Under a flickering fluorescent light, two North Korean officials slide a piece of paper across a conference table. On it is a shopping list. 6 Scud missiles. 500 kilograms of chemical precursors. The man sitting across from them doesn't hesitate. He studies the list calmly, then begins negotiating prices, not like someone discussing weapons of mass destruction, but like a buyer haggling over grain. What the North Koreans don't know is that hidden inside this man's shirt collar is a pinhole camera, recording every word. What they also don't know is far more dangerous. This man is not an arms dealer. He is not an intelligence officer. He is not backed by any government. He is an unemployed Danish chef on disability, with zero spy training. And he's been doing this alone for nearly 10 years. There is no extraction team waiting nearby. No emergency signal. No second chance. If the officials discover the camera, he doesn't get arrested. He disappears into a North Korean black site. But if he pulls this off, the footage will expose something no intelligence agency has ever captured on camera. Exactly how the most secretive regime on Earth sells missiles, drugs, and chemical weapons behind closed doors. Every movement matters. One wrong glance. One awkward pause. One suspicious reaction. And it's over. Years later, intelligence analysts would review this footage and reach a rare consensus. They would call it the most severe embarrassment to Kim Jong-un we have ever seen. Not because it came from the CIA. Not because it came from a foreign intelligence service. But because it came from a nobody. A disabled chef from Copenhagen had quietly outplayed one of the world's most paranoid dictatorships, using nothing but patience, acting skill, and time. So how did a man with no training, no clearance, and no protection infiltrate North Korea's global criminal network? How did he convince the regime to offer him missiles and meth labs on camera? And more importantly, what happens when Pyongyang realizes it's been betrayed? That story begins far from Uganda, in a small apartment in Copenhagen, nearly a decade earlier. Copenhagen, 2010. Ulrik Larsson sits alone in his living room, the glow of a television flickering across the walls of a cramped apartment. He's in his early 30s, a former chef, and by his own measure, finished. Chronic illness has forced him out of the kitchen and onto government disability payments. His career ended not with applause or closure, but quietly. Medical forms, missed shifts, and the slow realization that his old life isn't coming back. No job. No clear future. No grand ambition left to chase. Days blend together. The apartment feels smaller with each passing week. Adventure, the kind he once imagined for himself, seems like something meant for other people. Ulrik has no background in intelligence. No military service. No technical skills that suggest espionage. He is, in every visible way, unremarkable. Then one evening, something on the television arrests his attention. A Danish documentary called The Red Chapel. In it, filmmaker Mads Brugger and two comedians travel to North Korea, posing as a harmless performance troupe. The footage is surreal, absurd humor colliding with rigid propaganda. But beneath the comedy, there's something else. They made it inside. Behind the smiles and choreography, Ulrik sees something few outsiders ever glimpse: cracks in the facade of the world's most isolated regime. He leans forward. If they can get in, why couldn't someone else? That question refuses to leave him. North Korea, a closed state, wrapped in secrecy, fueled by fear and myth. A place governments warn citizens never to go, let alone investigate. To Ulrik, it suddenly looks less like an impenetrable fortress and more like an unanswered challenge. He knows how ridiculous the thought is. He isn't a hacker. He isn't a journalist. He isn't trained for anything like this. Most people would laugh at the idea and turn off the TV. Ulrik doesn't. That night, as the city settles into silence, he opens his laptop and writes an email. It's addressed to Mads Brugger. In it, he offers himself as a volunteer, an ordinary foreigner willing to go undercover to expose North Korea. A bored, chronically ill chef proposing to take on Kim Jong-un. On paper, it sounds absurd. 3 days later, Brugger writes back. And instead of dismissing him, he gives Ulrich a warning and an opportunity. He doesn't need someone inside North Korea. He needs someone willing to follow the regime's shadow, its illegal arms sales, drug trafficking, and sanctions-busting schemes that stretch far beyond Pyongyang's borders. For the first time in years, Ulrich feels something shift. Purpose. He doesn't know it yet, but this moment, an email sent from a quiet apartment, is the first move in a decade-long infiltration that will take him closer to Kim Jong-un's inner circle than any spy ever intended. And there is no turning back. Brugger's reply comes with a reality check. If Ulrich wants to expose North Korea, he won't do it by storming the front gate. The regime doesn't just survive inside its borders. It survives through a web, a loose, global network of sympathizers, intermediaries, and fixers who operate quietly across continents. Arms deals. Drug production. Sanctions evasion. Most of it happens far from Pyongyang, in plain sight, hidden behind ordinary organizations and plausible deniability. Ulrich needs to get close to that world. And the first step isn't dramatic. It's mundane. He joins a fan club. The Korean Friendship Association, the KFA, is a global organization of foreign admirers of North Korea. Its members range from nostalgic communists and curious travelers to genuine believers who openly praise the Kim dynasty. The group has chapters in more than 100 countries. Some members are harmless eccentrics. Others, Ulrich quickly learns, have real access to Pyongyang's power structure. To intelligence agencies, the KFA is a known curiosity. To Ulrich, it's perfect cover. He doesn't present himself as a journalist or investigator. He does the opposite. He pretends to be exactly what no one would fear, a naive, enthusiastic sympathizer. He attends meetings across Europe. He sings the regime's praises. He parrots talking points about Western conspiracies and media lies. And he never challenges anything. He plays the role so convincingly that even longtime members accept him without question. Ulrich doesn't try to stand out. He volunteers for the work no one else wants. Newsletters, email lists, recruitment calls, administrative chores that are dull, time-consuming, and invisible. While others chase quick recognition or grow bored and drift away, Ulrich stays. Month after month. Year after year, patience becomes his weapon. Gradually, people begin to trust him. That Danish guy is serious, they say. A true believer. They have no idea that after every meeting, Ulrich goes home and writes everything down. Names, numbers, suspicious comments, quiet power dynamics. One conversation at a time, he burrows deeper. By day, he is unremarkable, a husband and father discussing groceries, homework, and weekend plans. By night, he studies North Korean propaganda, refines his language, and maintains relationships with KFA members across borders. No one in his family knows. Living two lives is exhausting, exhilarating, terrifying. Some nights, Ulrich lies awake wondering if he's in over his head. But then something unexpected happens. The inner circle starts paying attention. The same regime that ignores journalists and diplomats begins noticing the quiet Danish volunteer who never misses a meeting and never asks for anything. Ulrich doesn't yet realize it, but he has done the hardest part of any infiltration. He has become invisible, and that makes him dangerous. Ulrich doesn't rush. That's the mistake most outsiders make. They want results quickly. They push for access. They ask the wrong questions too soon. Ulrich does none of that. He keeps showing up. Week after week, year after year, He attends Korean Friendship Association meetings across Europe. He repeats the same talking points. He praises the leadership. He nods along to speeches about Western aggression and media lies. Nothing about him feels threatening. If anything, he's boring. When work needs to be done, tedious, unpaid work, Ulrich volunteers. He organizes newsletters, manages mailing lists, welcomes new members, and smooths over internal disputes. Tasks others avoid because they offer no prestige. He never complains. Over time, this consistency becomes something else. Reliability. People begin to trust him not because he's impressive, but because he's always there. Inside the KFA, trust is currency. And Ulrich is quietly accumulating it. Behind the scenes, he's building a private archive. Every conversation gets logged. Every whispered comment gets remembered. Every name and phone number is carefully noted. He doesn't record audio yet. That would be too risky. For now, memory and patience are enough. At home, his double life continues unnoticed. At dinner, he's just a husband and father, talking about school assignments, grocery prices, and weekend errands. No one suspects that after the house goes quiet, Ulrich opens his laptop and resumes his second life. Messaging contacts in other countries. Studying regime propaganda. Refining his tone and language. It's a lonely existence. There's no one he can confide in. No safety net. No reassurance that this will ever lead anywhere. Some nights, the doubt creeps in. Is this pointless? Is he risking everything for nothing? Then, slowly, the signals change. Emails get warmer. Invitations become more personal. Names from higher up begin appearing in conversations. North Korea's international network is noticing him. Ulrich doesn't celebrate. He stays exactly the same. Because the moment he appears eager, the moment he asks for more, the spell breaks. Trust like this can only be earned one way. By being patient longer than anyone expects. And after years of quiet loyalty, that patience finally pays off. In 2011, Ulrich receives an invitation that marks a turning point. A guided trip to Pyongyang. For most KFA members, it's a reward, a carefully staged propaganda tour meant to reinforce belief. For Ulrich, it's something else entirely. A test. If he accepts, he will be under surveillance every waking second. Government minders will watch his face, his posture, his reactions. One wrong expression. One misplaced question. And he won't be expelled. He'll be detained. Refusing the invitation would be safer. But it would also end everything he's worked toward. Ulrich doesn't hesitate. He accepts. And as he prepares to enter the most controlled country on Earth, he knows this is no longer a thought experiment. This is real. In 2011, Ulrich boards a flight bound for Pyongyang. The invitation is framed as an honor, a guided cultural tour organized by the Korean Friendship Association, designed to show loyal foreigners the true North Korea. Ulrich understands what it really is. A controlled environment. A loyalty test. A place where mistakes don't end with embarrassment. On the flight, he repeats a single rule in his head. Stick to the cover. He is not curious. He is not critical. He is a friendly Danish chef who loves the leadership. Nothing more. From the moment he arrives, the surveillance is unmistakable. Government minders in dark suits meet the group at the airport and never leave their side. Every step, every conversation, every facial expression is quietly monitored. North Korea doesn't just watch what visitors say. It watches how they react. Ulrich forces enthusiasm at every stop. He gasps on cue at the mass games, tens of thousands moving in perfect synchronization. He bows deeply at towering bronze statues of Kim Il-sung and Kim Jong-il. He praises the carefully staged scenes of happy citizens working in fields and factories. At the Mansudi Grand Monument in Pyongyang, he places flowers at the statue's base and bows like a pilgrim at a shrine. The moment is surreal and deeply unsettling. But Ulrich knows the cameras are watching his face, not the monument. Back at the hotel, almost certainly bugged, he continues the performance. He praises the country to his hosts with practiced enthusiasm, careful never to overdo it, careful never to hesitate. Every lie tightens the noose. One inconsistency, and the questions begin. Despite the pressure, Ulrich passes. By the end of the trip, he's proven something crucial to the people observing him. He is useful. And more importantly, he is safe. It's during this visit that Ulrich draws the attention of a man who will change the course of the operation. Alejandro Chao de Binos. A Spanish aristocrat turned communist ideologue, Alejandro is one of North Korea's most valuable assets in the West, a self-appointed gatekeeper who dedicates his life to promoting the regime abroad. He wears North Korean military uniforms to international conferences. He speaks fluent Korean, and he appears to genuinely believe everything the regime tells him. You couldn't invent a character like this. Alejandro notices Ulrich's enthusiasm and reliability. Where others posture or seek attention, Ulrich listens. He praises Alejandro's work. He asks how he can help more. Alejandro responds. He begins treating Ulrich not as a tourist, but as a subordinate, a loyal Danish lieutenant. By the time Ulrich leaves Pyongyang, something fundamental has shifted. The nobody from Copenhagen now has direct access to one of North Korea's most influential international fixers. The mole is inside the house. But access alone isn't enough. Ulrich hasn't seen weapons. He hasn't heard criminal plans. He hasn't touched the regime's real secrets. Those are guarded carefully. To reach them, Ulrich will need to do something far more dangerous than proving loyalty. He will need to tempt North Korea into revealing itself. And that means becoming someone the regime believes it can use. This is the point of no return. After returning from North Korea, Ulrich doesn't rush. That restraint matters. He understands that in Pyongyang's world, desperation looks suspicious. Loyalty is measured over time. So he waits. Months pass. Then years. During that time, Ulrich steadily deepens his relationship with Alejandro Chao de Binos. Their contact is frequent but controlled. Emails, calls, occasional meetings at pro-North Korea conferences across Europe. Every interaction follows the same pattern. Ulrich praises the regime. He offers help. He never asks for anything in return. Alejandro begins to trust him. To Alejandro, Ulrich isn't a spy or a journalist. He's something far more valuable, a Western businessman who genuinely believes in North Korea's mission. And Ulrich quietly reinforces that belief. He presents himself as a problem solver. Someone who understands logistics, operations, and discretion. Someone who can move things quietly in Europe without asking too many questions. This is exactly the kind of person the regime needs. Over time, the conversations change. They move away from ideology and toward practicality. Alejandro starts talking about North Korea's limitations. Sanctions. Isolation. The difficulty of doing business with the outside world. The frustration of having resources but no legal way to sell them. These are not casual complaints. They are openings. Ulrich listens carefully. He nods. He sympathizes. And then, gently, he suggests solutions. He mentions companies. He mentions shipping routes. He mentions jurisdictions where enforcement is weak. He never proposes anything illegal outright. He lets Alejandro connect the dots. The shift is subtle, but decisive. Ulrich is no longer just a supporter. He's an asset. Eventually, Alejandro invites Ulrich to join a new initiative, something bigger than propaganda. Something operational. a project designed to help North Korea bypass international sanctions and generate hard currency. This is what Ulrich has been waiting for. But accepting comes with real risk. By stepping deeper into the regime's business network, Ulrich is no longer just observing wrongdoing. He is being asked to facilitate it. To say yes is to cross a line that can't be uncrossed. To say no would raise questions. So Ulrich agrees, calmly, confidently, without hesitation. From that moment on, the tone of their relationship changes again. Meetings become more secretive. Conversations move off normal channels. Code words replace plain language. Details are shared in person, not over email. The mask is coming off. Ulrich is being trusted with information that could put him in prison, or worse, if exposed. And yet, he keeps going. Because now, for the first time, the regime is no longer just showing him what it wants foreigners to see. It's beginning to show him how it actually operates. And once you see that machinery up close, there's no stepping back. By this point, the conversations are no longer theoretical. Alejandro Chao de Binos begins laying out specifics. Not ideology. Not politics. Business. Ulrich is introduced to the regime's real objective, generating money through activities that directly violate international sanctions. This isn't about cultural exchange or friendly cooperation. It's about weapons. It's about illegal trade. It's about evading global oversight. Alejandro explains that North Korea has products the world wants: arms, military equipment, and technical expertise, but no legal way to sell them. Sanctions have cut off traditional routes. Banks are watching. Governments are listening. What the regime needs are intermediaries. People outside North Korea who can create shell companies, hide transactions, and move goods quietly across borders. This is where Ulrich comes in. Alejandro speaks openly now, assuming loyalty. He describes how deals are structured to avoid detection: fake end users, falsified paperwork, indirect shipping paths through multiple countries. Everything is designed to blur responsibility and erase fingerprints. Ulrich listens, asks clarifying questions, and takes mental notes. Every detail matters. Because this is no longer abstract wrongdoing. These are actionable crimes with international consequences. At this stage, Alejandro also introduces Ulrich to another figure, someone even closer to the regime's core. A senior North Korean official responsible for weapons development and international arms sales. This is a major escalation. Ulrich is no longer dealing with a foreign sympathizer. He is now communicating, directly or indirectly, with the state itself. Meetings grow more intense. Plans are discussed face to face. Phones are avoided. Documents are shared verbally, never written down. The regime is careful, but confident. They believe they are speaking to one of their own. Ulrich is asked to help identify buyers, to explore shipping options, to assess which countries might be willing to look the other way. Each request pushes him deeper. There's no room for moral hesitation. Any sign of doubt would trigger suspicion. So Ulrich stays composed. He agrees where agreement is expected. He asks questions where curiosity seems natural. He never pushes too hard, never pulls away too fast. But internally, the danger is escalating fast. If discovered, he wouldn't be treated as a whistleblower. He would be treated as a traitor. And North Korea does not handle traitors gently. By the end of this phase, the illusion is gone. Ulrich is no longer observing a secret system. He is standing inside it. And now the regime wants proof. Not words. Not loyalty. Action. Trust, in North Korea's system, is never assumed. It's tested. After months of planning and discussion, the regime wants Ulrich to demonstrate that he isn't just talking. They want proof that he can deliver real results under pressure. The test is simple in concept and dangerous in execution. Ulrich is asked to help arrange an arms deal. Not a symbolic one. A real transaction involving weapons prohibited under international law. The proposal includes details about missile components, military hardware, and technical expertise. Alejandro explains how North Korea has supplied similar equipment before, quietly, through intermediaries, with plausible deniability. Now they want Ulrich to help do it again. Ulrich doesn't hesitate. Outwardly, he responds as a willing participant. He discusses logistics, pricing, and shipping routes as if this is just another business negotiation. Behind the scenes, every word is being documented. Ulrich is secretly recording conversations. He's gathering evidence, not just of intent, but of operational planning. This matters, because intent can be denied. Plans cannot. The regime lays out its preferred methods. Weapons would be shipped through third countries. Paperwork would list false destinations. Payments would move through shell companies and offshore accounts. Everything is designed to bypass sanctions and confuse investigators. Alejandro speaks confidently. This isn't theory. It's a system they've used before. At one point, Ulrich is told that if the deal succeeds, it won't be the last. This is a pipeline, a long-term operation. And now Ulrich is being positioned as a permanent part of it. The stakes rise again when Ulrich is asked to meet face-to-face with North Korean officials to finalize details. These meetings aren't ceremonial. They're operational briefings. Maps are discussed. Routes are analyzed. Security risks are assessed. The regime wants to know which countries will cooperate, which ports are safe, which banks are weak. Ulrich answers carefully, never overcommitting, never exposing ignorance. Every sentence is a balancing act. Say too little, and he looks unreliable. Say too much, and he risks operational involvement. And yet, refusing is no longer an option. By agreeing to facilitate the deal, Ulrich has crossed the line the regime uses to separate supporters from operatives. If he walks away now, he doesn't just disappear. He becomes a liability. By the end of Act 8, the structure is clear. North Korea isn't dabbling in illegal trade. It's running a professional, disciplined, global network designed to move weapons, money, and expertise in plain sight. And Ulrich is now close enough to see how it works. Too close to step back. By 2015, Ulrich understands a harsh truth. Access alone will not expose the regime. They will not reveal their deepest secrets for free. Trust must be leveraged. He needs bait. The regime craves only one thing: money. Hard currency. Investments. A way to operate under the radar. Ulrich realizes that if he can pose as someone capable of delivering that, the regime will come to him, willingly. But there's a problem. He is not wealthy. He has no resources. He's a chef on disability. He's not a businessman. He's invisible. The solution comes in the form of a partner. Someone who can convincingly play a wealthy and scrupulous investor, a foreigner the North Koreans would trust to fund illegal ventures. Ulrich finds that partner in Jim Latrobe. Jim is tall, muscular, with tattoos, a former French Foreign Legion soldier, and an ex-convict. He looks like he could move money, intimidate contacts, and survive dangerous encounters. Together, they craft a legend. Jim becomes Mr. James, a rich Scandinavian investor with a portfolio of oil, real estate, and shadowy enterprises. A man with money to burn. A man with no moral hesitation. Ulrich is the facilitator. The bridge. The insider who makes Mr. James credible. Every detail is perfected: wardrobe, posture, knowledge of shipping, and North Korean etiquette. Bowing, praising the leadership, appearing sympathetic to sanctions, nothing is left to chance. The bait is ready. And it's irresistible. Alejandro is the first to be drawn in. He now treats Ulrich as a reliable operative and introduces the duo to North Korean emissaries abroad. The plan is deceptively simple. Promise access to millions. Promise the ability to fund projects outside North Korea. Watch as the regime reveals what they want most. This is the moment the operation pivots from intelligence gathering to active sting. By planting the idea of Mr. James, Ulrich and Jim set the trap. The regime will propose deals, outline illegal plans, and even draft schemes, all on record. And they bite. The stakes escalate with every conversation. Ulrich knows one mistake, one slip of the act, could cost them everything. But if it works, it will provide unprecedented evidence of North Korea's shadow operations. The perfect bait is set. The trap is ready. And the hunters are about to become the hunted. May 2016, Oslo, Norway. Ulrich and Jim arrive at an upscale restaurant, faces composed, hearts pounding. Alejandro Chao de Binos is already there, jovial as ever, wearing his North Korean lapel pin. Beside him sits a North Korean diplomat, Mr. Lee. The stage is set. Dinner begins with casual pleasantries, the kind of small talk designed to mask true intentions. Ulrich observes. Jim plays his role perfectly. Confident, wealthy, uninterested in being polite, yet charming enough to draw the diplomat out. Conversation drifts naturally toward business. Then Jim drops a subtle hint. I'm particularly interested in, shall we say, special products that are hard to come by due to UN sanctions, he says, flashing a knowing smile. For a moment, the North Korean diplomat freezes, expression unreadable. Alejandro clears his throat. There are ways, Mr. James, he says quietly, eyes gleaming. If one is a true friend to our cause, special commodities can be obtained off the record. Ulrich barely contains a surge of relief. They've bitten. What follows is almost surreal. Over the next hour, polite small talk gives way to concrete discussions. Small arms. Counterfeit goods. And then, with Jim steering carefully, the conversation escalates to missiles and drugs. The diplomat's smile sharpens, a predator sensing opportunity. Alejandro chimes in, speaking as if the arrangement is a natural business venture. Partnerships, joint ventures, ways to move materials without detection. Ulrich takes notes quietly. Every word, every gesture, every nuance is captured by hidden recorders. By the time the second bottle of wine arrives, the North Koreans are sketching outlines for operations. Overseas production, methods to ship illicit goods, even conflict zones like Yemen and Syria for weapons distribution. Jim feigns measured interest, letting the North Koreans overexpose themselves. When the dinner ends, Alejandro clasps Ulrich's hand. My friend, he says, Pyongyang will be very pleased. We must take this to the next level. Outside, Ulrich and Jim exchange a glance. They know they've crossed a threshold. The trap has worked. The first operational sting is complete. And yet, the operation has only just begun. The Oslo meeting was a success. But talk alone is not enough. Ulrich knows that for the world to believe North Korea is actively plotting illegal operations, they need irrefutable evidence. Plans must move from verbal promises to tangible proof. This is where audacity meets strategy. Over the following months, Ulrich and Jim escalate the operation. They propose a follow-up, a full-blown underground facility, disguised as a luxury resort. It's outrageous. Almost impossible. But that's the point. The North Koreans bite. By August 2016, Madrid becomes the next stage. A higher-level North Korean official flies in. The discussions turn bolder. Missiles, chemical labs, weapons for the Middle East. Nothing is off-limits. Ulrich quietly documents everything. Hidden cameras capture gestures, blueprints, price lists, and operational discussions. The North Koreans treat Mr. James as a seasoned ally, completely oblivious that he's a fabricated persona. They discuss specifics, production capacities, secure locations, and distribution logistics. Ulrich realizes the magnitude of what's unfolding. A country with limited resources, desperate for cash, is willing to openly plan illegal arms sales to anyone who appears capable of facilitating them. At the end of Madrid, the ultimate invitation arrives, a private visit to North Korea itself. A clear sign of trust, or desperation. The regime is ready to roll out the red carpet behind closed doors, exposing the inner workings of their shadow operations. Ulrich and Jim accept, fully aware of the danger. This is no longer theory. This is the inner sanctum. And every step now is measured against a single rule: survival. January 2017. A black government Mercedes winds through the snow-dusted outskirts of Pyongyang. In the back seat, Ulrich sits with controlled nerves, hidden cameras in place. Beside him, Jim, the persona of Mr. James, maintains a careful facade of toughness. Every glance, every breath is watched. They arrive at a heavily guarded compound. Armed men in olive uniforms step aside as Mr. Kong punches in a code. The duo descends a dimly lit stairwell, the metallic air sharp and cold. This is no tourist attraction. This is the inner sanctum where North Korea showcases forbidden merchandise to trusted allies, the secret showroom for arms and illicit goods. Fluorescent lights buzz to life. Tanks, missiles, crates of rifles, and grenades are displayed like luxury products at an exhibition. Mr. Kong explains each item matter-of-factly, as if presenting new car models. Scud missiles. Surface-to-air systems. Even printed brochures with specifications and US dollar price lists. Ulrich and Jim play their parts flawlessly. Jim feigns interest, probing capacities and logistics. Ulrich quietly records everything, taking notes on smuggling routes, operational methods, and hidden production capabilities. Hours pass. The officials show chemical setups disguised as pharmaceutical labs, potential methamphetamine production hidden behind plausible covers. Mr. Kong smiles casually, joking about product quality. The juxtaposition is chilling. Weapons and drugs discussed over polite conversation, yet Ulrich captures every incriminating detail. By the end of the visit, the North Koreans are confident. They believe Mr. James is a genuine investor with both resources and audacity. They've revealed far more than they ever would to a trained intelligence agent in a controlled setting. Ulrich realizes the enormity of the moment. This is irrefutable evidence. Proof of systemic criminal activity. Weapons, drugs, production plans, and a willing facilitator, all on record. They exit the bunker, hearts still racing. Every word, every movement, every handshake recorded, a treasure trove that could shake the world. The secret showroom revealed the regime's boldest intentions, but talk alone is insufficient. Ulrich and Jim need tangible proof, evidence that cannot be dismissed as rumor or exaggeration. They up the ante. The duo proposes a full-scale operation, an underground arms and drug facility disguised as a luxury resort. Villas, a golf course, a hidden production lab beneath, a seamless cover for weapons manufacturing and methamphetamine production. The North Koreans respond eagerly. By mid-2017, meetings intensify. Locations, blueprints, and logistical details are discussed openly. Missiles, rifles, and chemical precursors, everything is on the table. Shipping routes, diplomatic channels, and offshore partners are considered. Pyongyang lays out plans for remote production in Africa, far from prying eyes. Uganda becomes the target. An island near Lake Victoria, strategically isolated, is presented as the perfect site. Above ground, the facade of a high-end tourist resort. Below, tunnels, labs, and assembly halls. Local officials would be bribed to turn a blind eye. The stakes are extraordinary. Every discussion, every blueprint, every signature captured on hidden cameras or recorded meticulously. The charade reaches its peak during a staged signing ceremony. On paper, it is innocuous. a construction joint venture, an investment in tourism. In reality, it formalizes an illegal arms and drug operation. Ulrich and Jim orchestrate the scene perfectly. North Korean officials, believing they are making a legitimate agreement, sign the documents. Every gesture, every handshake, every gleam of confidence immortalized on film. Ulrich watches, heart pounding, as Pyongyang commits to what could be considered one of the boldest illegal schemes in modern history. The regime is laying out its inner workings with astonishing candor, unaware that every word is evidence. By the end, the North Koreans leave satisfied, convinced they have secured a reliable foreign partner. Ulrich and Jim exit with the contracts and blueprints safely documented. The trap is complete, hard proof of North Korea's illicit global operations. The documents are signed. The blueprints captured. The hidden cameras loaded with incriminating footage. But the most dangerous part remains, getting out alive with the evidence. Ulrich and Jim board their flight under tight surveillance. Every checkpoint, every inspection could be the last. At customs, a slow, meticulous officer thumbs through Ulrich's camera bag. Panic tightens his chest. The officer pauses over a digital voice recorder, one filled with harmless bird songs as a decoy. A single, convincing explanation. Ulrich is an avid birdwatcher documenting the exotic species of North Korea. The officer hesitates, then smiles. "Birds," he says, waving them through. The plane takes off. For the first time in months, a breath of relief. Back in Europe, the documentary crew reviews the treasure trove. Missiles, chemical precursors, drugs, signed contracts, secret bunker tours, everything captured in vivid detail. The world now has proof. North Korean officials plotting arms sales and illicit drug production abroad, with signatures to back it up. The final act is public exposure. Summer 2019. Kala, Uganda. Ulrich and Jim meet their North Korean contacts one last time, ostensibly to finalize the Uganda Island project. Hidden cameras capture a shopping list: Scud missile components, chemical precursors, submarine prototypes. The North Koreans believe they are securing a massive illegal operation. They have no idea the trap is live, the world watching. Once the meeting concludes, Ulrich returns to Copenhagen for the documentary premiere. Television cameras roll. Investigative journalists, intelligence advisors, and a global audience witness the revelations. The footage is explosive: arms sales, drug manufacturing, and the detailed plan for Uganda. Governments react immediately. Sweden and Denmark lodge complaints with the UN. Investigations are launched across multiple countries. Alejandro Chao de Binos goes ballistic, posting online denials. North Korea issues silence, but behind closed doors, the inner circle is humiliated. Ulrich, the once disabled chef from Copenhagen, has achieved what seasoned intelligence agencies could not. The world knows now. One ordinary man, armed only with guile, patience, and a bold plan, outsmarted the most secretive regime on earth. Life returns to a semblance of normalcy. Ulrich walks his streets carefully, aware that Pyongyang may seek revenge. But he has exposed a global crime network, and nothing will ever be the same. The cat-and-mouse game continues. Yet for one remarkable chapter, a nobody revealed the full extent of North Korea's shadow operations. And the question lingers: if a single chef could infiltrate the world's most secretive regime, what other dark corners of the globe are waiting for someone brave enough to shine a light?